What's up guys, TSJAwesome 628 here, back again with another F1 2020 My Team Career Mode video, this time for the US Grand Prix. Last time out of the Japanese Grand Prix we secured the Drivers' World Championship, so we've achieved our goal in the series. We've won the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship with our team, so we get to go into this race already as champion, and it's our first race as champion, so we'll just be able to enjoy the race. We have a few activities still to do, as we still want to try and make this car as good as possible and see like how many points we can get as a team and as a driver in the championship this season. So we still want to achieve the best possible results we can. So we're going to repurchase this durability upgrade which failed, and then we're going to fast forward on to the US Grand Prix. So head into the race weekend and we'll check the weather forecast, and as per usual it is completely dry, so nothing new there. Only 3 more weekends after this where we could possibly get some rain. Well, I say 3, it's pretty much 2, because there's not going to be rain at Abu Dhabi. I can almost guarantee that now. In before, like I heard that I'm at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and people putting in the comments that I said there was going to be no rain at Abu Dhabi when it was like a monsoon storm or something. But I severely doubt that. So I'm assuming that it's only going to be either Mexico or Brazil that we could get some wet weather. But we're going to put an ultimate powertrain upgrade on the car. Hopefully that'll arrive in the next couple of weeks just before the end of the season. Straight into qualifying now, and the US Grand Prix is pretty strong for the AI. It's a track I enjoy driving, but the AI are pretty good around here, and we do go fastest for now, but as we fast forward towards the end of the session, it is second, 1.3 seconds off our teammate Ricardo, which I was expecting to be a bit closer than that. It wasn't brilliant that from us. We made a couple of mistakes, but it doesn't matter. We are safely through. Perez picked up a grid penalty for a collision with Grosjean, so I assume that could definitely have been avoided, and he'll start 5 places further back than he originally be hoping for. And considering he's been on good form, he'd have been wanting to start higher up to continue that. Grosjean didn't even make it through, as per usual with most Alfa Romeo. Haas and Williams always going out. 2 Williams cars of De Vries and Aitken lining up on the back row. Magnussen 17th, Russell 18th, Grosjean 90th, and Latifi 20th. Hamilton only made it through in 12th though for Mercedes. He wasn't that quick in this session. I assume he'll be able to pick up the pace in the next couple of sessions, and the racing points weren't that quick either. Stroll only 13th and Giovinazzi 15th. Racing points have been very disappointing in the second half of the season, and having been comfortably third in the entirety of the first half of the season, and even with all their engine failures, they're now under quite a lot of pressure from Red Bull and Ferrari, and they're not really delivering, so we'll see whether they can maintain third. But in Q2 we do set the fastest lap, and Ricciardo's on medium tyres, so we do hold that fastest lap by the end of the session. Ricciardo does make it through on medium, so he's going to go for an alternate strategy tomorrow. I feel like Ricciardo almost always goes for the alternate strategy. I really want to know how many weekends this season Ricciardo has not tried to qualify on mediums, because I think he's tried it more often than not. The 2 Ferraris look pretty quick, second and third for Leclerc and Vettel. Obviously it's only Q2. I do expect Mercedes to pick up the pace a bit and take what will be third and fourth behind us in the final qualifying session. Both McLaren's Sainz and Norris also made it through in 9th and 10th, with Perez also making through, but he will have a grid penalty, and Max Verstappen as per usual in the Red Bull. So Sainz will be looking to continue his good form from the Japanese Grand Prix, where obviously he picked up his first podium of the season and his first big points haul. Alex Albon just missed out on 11th. Pierre Gasly also missed out on 12th. So no AlphaTauri in the top 10. and no racing points in the top 10 as Stroll was 13th and Giovinazzi was 16th. Kvyat was 15th and Esteban Ocon was 14th. So unless Perez pulls something miraculous out of the bag in Q3, it's advantage McLaren because because Perez will be starting further down the order anyway. So that battle between Renault and AlphaTauri is slightly advantage towards McLaren. If obviously they do have to continue the race pace, qualifying higher up is one thing. You do have to match it with pace in the race. But for our first lap in Q3, it's a 1:27 flat, and it's a decent lap. It's quicker than Ricciardo's first lap, which is good for us. And we're going to go out again and we're going to see if we can improve and try and keep our provisional pole position and claim our pole for the race. And we're about 2 tenths up as we head through the final corner. And as we take the run down to the line, it is indeed going to be pole position for the US Grand Prix.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Thomas, Ricciardo and Lewis Hamilton. Goodbye for now then, but we're really just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
So we took pole by 5.5 tenths over Ricciardo, who didn't really deliver a good lap in the final session. I thought he was going to be quicker than that. But we'll see if his race pace is any better. Obviously on the alternate strategy, he could always pose a threat. Hamilton will then start third. He was actually quite a bit quicker than his teammate as well, about 3 tenths. As Verstappen does split the Mercedes in 4th with Bottas in 5th. So good job from Verstappen, and with Stroll not even inside the top 10. His championship battle is looking like he has the advantage in it. Sainz has a great qualifying in 6th for McLaren, and then come the 2 Ferraris in 7th and 8th, with Leclerc half a second quicker than Vettel. So I'm not sure Vettel, Perez and Norris got the most out of their cars, especially Norris being 8 tenths slower than his teammates. And that's quite a big gap, and I'd expect them to be a bit closer in the race. But I believe Sainz started either 6th or 5th in Japan, and he got the podium there, so Sainz may be looking to continue his good form and maybe try and get another podium here. I mean, we'll just be able to show what our car can do. Not really. I think it was probably a disappointing session for them just now. They looked really quick in Q2, and they then didn't really deliver in the final session. And they're still behind Red Bull and Racing Point in the championship, so they need to improve slightly more if they want to get those positions.
Appreciate your time. We begin. Let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Thomas lines up on pole position, and P2 goes to Daniel Ricciardo. A strong showing from the Australian. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, and Sainz, Leclerc, Vettel, Norris, and Alexander Albon, Stroll, Ocon, Sergio Perez, and Kvyat, Giovinazzi, Russell, Romain Grosjean, and Nick de Vries, Gasly, Magnussen, Aitken, they've taken a grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi.
So quite a few grid penalties right at the back of the grid, but we are getting to that stage of the season as we saw in the last couple of races. 2 races ago, Ricciardo has taken a penalty. We're getting to that point in the season from like about Russia onwards right to the end of the season where the AI. They will just be a random lottery of who takes penalties this weekend, and there should be about 5 different drivers that will start near the back. They probably shouldn't be, but we're going to go to 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go. And we're going to get a better start than Ricciardo this time, which is good. Obviously we didn't Japan, so this time we will lead into turn 1. Ricciardo on the medium tyres, so hopefully we'll be able to pull away in this first stint, as Verstappen and Vettel are going side by side further back. We're going to continue on through the S section, and we're going to try and just pull away from Ricciardo. As I said, he is on the medium tyres, so they should take longer to switch on and not be as grippy, but towards the end of the stint he'll be quicker because he'll have better tyre life. But now on board with Pierre Gasly, who's trying to go round the outside of Romain Grosjean. Gasly took a grid penalty and started further down the order than he would have wanted to. But he's had a good start so far, and he's already ahead of the Haas, Alfa Romeo and Williams cars in this race, as we set the fastest lap at the end of lap 1, being the leader. That's always going to happen. And as we head towards the end of lap 2, we're going to set another fastest lap, and the gap to Ricciardo is just under 2 seconds, and it is a 2-stop in this race, so we do want to try and pull out a big gap on him, because we're not going to be able to match his strategy no matter what, because he'll either go for 2 soft compound tyres, or he's going to go for hards and then just go to the end. But now we're going to see Charles Leclerc overtaking Max Verstappen in this race. So Ferrari, I did mention in the interview that they didn't deliver in qualifying 3, but in the race they're now up to 4th and 5th, and Vettel's just behind Hamilton, and they're looking like they could get a podium in this race with the pace they're showing. And now on board with Valtteri Bottas is also going to try and take Max Verstappen. So Verstappen doesn't seem to have the same race pace that he did in qualifying, and he's dropping down the order as he's now behind both Ferraris and now both Mercedes, as Bottas does take the position from him. But Verstappen will fight back, and Verstappen's going to go back up the inside of Bottas. He's going to try and squeeze him out as they head through the long right-hander, but Bottas has the inside line and manages to keep position. So Verstappen did try and fight back there, and I wasn't expecting that, but Bottas did hold on to the position and move himself up to 6th place. At the end of lap 6, or going on to lap 7, the gap is now at just over 5 seconds to Ricciardo, and our pit lap is this lap at lap 8, so the gap to Ricciardo is slightly stalled now, so it's clear that our tyres are starting to go off, and we are going to come to the pits at the end of this lap as the gap has slightly decreased, just to about 5.5 seconds, and we're just going to head into the pits. We're probably going to come out in a bit of traffic, as it was quite a short stint on these tyres, and we'll definitely come out behind both Ferraris and Hamilton. Well, Vettel pits, so actually we'll come out ahead of Vettel, but we'll probably come out behind Bottas as well, will we? We're going to go almost side by side with him into turn 1, but we do run very deep, and that will give Bottas a slight advantage on the exit, and he's very close to us. It looks like he's going to try and go for a move into the S section, but he backs out at the last second, probably knowing we're on fresher tyres in a quicker car, and we do hold on to the position of P4, and now it's about time of trying to push on these fresh set of tyres, and seeing if we can close into the few cars ahead of us, because I'm not sure if Leclerc and Hamilton will try and stay out longer and go for 1-stops, because that is a viable strategy in this race to go straight onto the hard tyres. And it does seem that Hamilton and Leclerc are both going to try that. But on board with Charles Leclerc now, and indeed he's on hard tyres, going for the 1-stop, but he doesn't have any other choice. Even if he got onto mediums, he'd be doing a 1-stop in this race, because he's not going to finish the race, and he's going to pull to the side of the track, and his Ferrari has let him down here, and we get confirmation of his retirement on lap 10, and that's disappointing for Ferrari and their hopes of finishing 3rd in the championship, if only one of their cars is going to be finishing, and now they're going to need Vettel to beat Verstappen and both Racing Point cars, and Albon as well, but I'm assuming that Albon and Giovinazzi aren't really going to actually be helping their teams that much, so it's basically Vettel v Verstappen v Stroll this race. Now on board with the next lap, and Esteban Ocon's come up the pitch just ahead of Lando Norris, so the overcutters work for Ocon here, and he's jumped Norris. They went side by side momentarily, but Ocon squeezed Norris out. And on the next lap, we're now on board with Alex Albon, who is going to try and come out side by side with Carlos Sainz there. But Sainz holds Albon off and keeps the position. So Albon has a great overcut here, and he's come out on medium tyres as well, so he actually looks like he may be able to influence this race, as he does look like he'll be able to get some good points in this race, as Vettel is now going to go around the outside of Giovinazzi, so maybe Albon and Giovinazzi are going to be able to help their teams. Obviously Giovinazzi hasn't stopped yet, but he is going long, and he should have much better pace towards the end of the race as we head on to lap 13. And both Racing Points are in the top 5. They're trying quite a weird strategy in this race, as we're now on board with Lance Stroll, who's just pitted, and he's going to come out side by side with Carlos Sainz, and he's going to squeeze Carlos Sainz out, and he's going to gain the position on Sainz. So Stroll's had a mega overcut here, and Racing Point have pulled a great strategy, and he's ahead of this massive train. We'll see where Giovinazzi will come out, but he's first going to be overtaken by Lewis Hamilton here, and obviously Vettel's jumped Hamilton in the pits actually, but Vettel will have to make a second stop as he is doing the 2-stop, whereas Hamilton is on the 1-stop, and Giovinazzi has been dispatched of, and he'll probably be coming into the pits very shortly, Giovinazzi. He was a few seconds behind Stroll, so I would still expect him to come out in the middle of this train, and actually he's going to come out right at the back of this train, side by side with Romain Grosjean, and he's going to look to try and gain the move on Romain Grosjean, and they may be going side by side into the S section here, as Grosjean tries to hold him off, but Giovinazzi has the better line, and Grosjean's the one that has to back out in the end, and Giovinazzi's overcut hasn't worked to the same effect that Stroll's did. But in the race, Ricciardo's actually been slowly closing us in on his new set of tyres, and he's now pulled the gap down to just over 4 seconds, and we will be pitting on lap 20, but we will see what Ricciardo can do. But now on board with Alex Albon, he's going to try and overtake Carlos Sainz. He's on a softer compound of tyre, and he's going to try and dispatch from the McLaren man. He's going to go up the inside into this section, which will then lead on to the double left-hander, and Albon has already made the position. Ricciardo has been rapidly closing us in over the last few laps. The gap's down to 2.5 seconds. Obviously we are on medium tyres, whereas he's on soft, so this is his stint where he should be gaining the most amount of time on us, and he's shown some quite good race pace on this soft tyre, and it looks like he's going to be able to hold fastest lap, obviously at least until we come into the pits and have our final soft stint. So that is now at the end of lap 20 here, and it's now time for us to make a final stop. We were only 6/10 ahead of Ricciardo when we entered the pit lane, so it seems that it's going to be pretty much even going into this final stint, and we're both going to be going on soft tyres, so I'm not sure who's going to win this race. We'll obviously get a slight undercut on him, but then the fresher tyres right towards the end of the race, so we're going to be trying to pull out the gap again on this undercut, and he'll probably be closing us back in towards the end of the race, as we're going to come at the pits again, going wide there. I feel like there's just something to do with the USA pit lane where it gives you control. You'll almost always go wide as we head towards the end of lap 22, 2 purple sectors, so it's been a good outlap from us, and we're going to come out the pits around 3 seconds ahead of Ricciardo as we set a fastest lap in this Grand Prix, and now it's time for Ricciardo to try and close us down, and immediately on the next lap he's pulled it back down to 2.3 seconds, and he sets the fastest lap of this Grand Prix, and now it's just about us trying to hold on to the position as the gap is around 2 seconds with 4 laps to go. We lapped Nick de Vries, who sort of got out of the way. Was not the easiest way to let me pass, but we didn't make contact and we didn't get any damage, so that's good in this race. Ricciardo's still rapidly closing us in. The gap's 1.5 seconds as we still have 3 laps to go, as we're going to lap Jack Aitken here, having to sort of cut the inside and losing a bit more time to Ricciardo because of it. And Ricciardo does lose time though as well while lapping Aitken, and that means the gap's up to about 2 seconds as we head onto this straight, and now we're going to lap Romain Grosjean as we head into turn 1 and move ourselves further forward. Ricciardo will probably get chances on the back straight here, and that's one thing about USA is the main overtaking spot is not into turn 1, so you do theoretically get a lap's extra worth of overtaking chance. But Kvyat, his good form's sort of come to an end as he had a poor strategy in Japan, and now his car's going to fail him here at the USA Grand Prix, so disappointment for Kvyat. He had a good result at his home Grand Prix in Russia and a podium at Singapore, but since then it's been 2 very disappointing races, and he'll want to turn that around to get confirmation of his retirement. And Ricciardo, as we head on to lap 27, is in DRS range of us. So we're going to head on to this back straight, as I said, and Ricciardo is going to try and breeze past us here, and he's got so much more straight line speed, and he's going to take the lead of the US Grand Prix. But he's stayed really tight to the inside, and that's going to give us a chance back around the outside here. And he has a slight wobble on the exit, and we're going to still keep it up the inside into this next corner. And he sort of backs out. Maybe he thinks he's going to get us on the next lap then, and he probably will, to be honest. As we head into turn 1, the gap's only about 3/10, and he's going to have one last chance to overtake us. But luckily for us, as we're going to come up to some back marker traffic of Russell and Latifi, we're going to also get DRS, because we are inside a second of these guys ahead. And that means that Ricciardo will not gain the benefit he wants. As you see, he's already just under a tenth, or just over a tenth, behind us, but we actually gain on the straight in the slipstream of Latifi with DRS. We pull the gap out to 3/10 on the straight, and he did not get another chance to overtake us, so we're going to ride on board all the way to the end of the lap as Magnussen is just ahead, but I don't think we're quite going to catch him on this final lap, so we won't be able to lap him in this race, but we should be able to claim victory here unless we make a mistake. But we just have the long right-hander here. Actually, I think it's a bunch of corners as considered, but we do go through the penultimate corner and now through the final corner. In our first race as the new Formula 1 World Champion, we're going to win the US Grand Prix. So, continuing our winning ways, I've already forgotten how many race victories that is in a row, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 victories in a row, so that's very good as we now see ourselves on the podium. So 8 victories in a row, 7 victories in a row, matching it. It will be 8 victories if we win the Mexican Grand Prix next time out, and I think 7 victories in a row is our current record this season. That's what we did going between Vietnam and Canada.
Amazing talents out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Daniel Ricciardo certainly impressed me today, an incredible performance.
The Constructors' Championship may be a foregone conclusion at the moment, but regardless, let's look at the standings. There was also a strong showing from the McLaren team today, as they make their way up the standings. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula 1.
So we win the Grand Prix, very close to Daniel Ricciardo, who's in second, 3/10 was the gap. He got fastest lap by a tenth though, so we don't get full points in this race, we only get the 25, not the 26. Hamilton rounds off the podium, quite far away, there's 48 seconds roughly away from us, but he was comfortably third, and Bottas came fourth. Vettel struggled on the 2-stop, he got stuck in traffic behind Verstappen, and really struggled to overtake him, and I think he would have had the pace to catch up to at least to Bottas and overtake him if he had been able to clear Verstappen. Stroll recovered to 7th, so despite Verstappen starting 7 places ahead of him, Verstappen will only gain 2 points on Stroll after Stroll's great overcut and good strategy from Racing Point. Alex Albon was then 8th, so a good race for Albon as well in helping Red Bull in the Constructors. So Red Bull score the most points out of Ferrari Racing Wheel Red Bull and will help themselves further onwards in the championship. Sainz will then take P9 from McLaren, so not as many points as he was probably hoping for when he started in P6, but still scored more points than Renault or AlphaTauri, with Ocon claiming 1 point for Renault. Norris just outside the top 10 in 11th and Perez in 12th, so the Renaults were trying to challenge the McLarens but couldn't quite score as many points. Then Gasly was 13th in the only AlphaTauri that finished the race, and Giovinazzi had another disappointing race in that Racing Point in 14th. And he's generally been a bit disappointing this season, along with Albon, but Albon had a good result this time out. Magnussen was then 15th, Russell 16th, Latifi 17th, Grosjean 18th, Aitken 19th, De Vries 20th, and then Kvyat and Leclerc did not make the checker flag, even though Kvyat was classified in this race. So in the championship, we've obviously already won it, 136 points now ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, who is a further 78 points ahead of Valtteri Bottas. So he is almost exactly, I think he's going to be guaranteed. He's not quite guaranteed second because Bottas could get 78 points, and therefore could level it and therefore would win on most race victories. So Ricciardo needs a point to guarantee second. Hamilton then fourth on 175. Verstappen 14 points ahead of Stroll for fifth. Leclerc then on 91 in seventh. And then Vettel leading this train as he's overtaken Norris this time out. So he's on 66, Norris on 60, Perez on 49, Ocon on 48, Gasly on 46, Fiat on 45, Giovinazzi on 44, and then Sainz on 33 and Albon on 29, still slightly behind that train of cars that contained the Renault, AlphaTauris and Giovinazzi. And then the two Haas cars, Grosjean on 2, Russell on 1, and then Magnussen and Latifi still yet to score in the Alfa Romeo, and Aitken and De Vries still yet to score in the Williams. In the Constructors, and we obviously already won it, but with 351 ahead of Mercedes, still extending the gap. Racing Point now only a point ahead of Red Bull, so a singular Racing Point ahead, and then Ferrari a further 6 points back from Red Bull, and that is very close, 7 points between all three teams. In the next group, it's 6 points between all three teams, as Renault are on 97, McLaren on 93, and AlphaTauri on 91. So both those battles, those three-team battles, look set to continue for the rest of the championship. And then Haas are on 3 points, and Alfa Romeo and Williams still yet to score. Only 3 races left this season for them to get points, so it's looking more unlikely that they will.
You must be thrilled. Your team dominated the race today. Was it the car or the teamwork? What's the secret to your success?
I mean, it's the car. We both have the best aero package on the grid. We just flat out through the corners. This car's amazing.
Do you have any comments on the performance?
The performance was good. They pushed me all the way, but obviously we managed to come out on top. The car's is just brilliant, and that's why it's only us two really fighting for victories. I don't really know what crash you're talking about, so let's just move on. I don't remember hitting anything at any point in that race. Moving on to the rivalry, and we have successfully got very close to beating Hamilton. I think it's guaranteed now that we beat Hamilton, because we will gain points from finishing races, so we will beat Hamilton in the rivalry now. In acclaim levels, we're up to level 19 as a team, so maybe we can push for level 20 by the end of the season, and hopefully we can also overtake Ricciardo. He got some damage deductions in this race, so I don't know, maybe he hit something, but our cash total still goes up to 12.29 million, and in the next episode we'll probably purchase an aerodynamics facility upgrade, as that is the only thing we do not have at Spec 3. But only 3 races left to go in the season, and let's see if we can win them all and make it 10 in a row. But that'll be the end of the episode, and I'll see you guys next time for the Mexican Grand Prix.